First and foremost, our hope is that the public engage with the land in a way that inspires a conservation ethic that then drives more land protection into the future.
We've been working in partnership with the Inland Northwest Land Conservancy, along with the Spokane Tribe and Washington State Park Service, to secure over 1,000 acres of land, which is this beautiful piece of land and in the Spokane Tribe's ancestral territory.
The completion of this project has been a vision for our organization for over 20 years. Literally decades of relationship building to allow us to make such a sizable conservation purchase. The last 18 months has been a real ramp up of that work to negotiate the terms necessary to make such a large acquisition happen.
And it was just kind of amazing to be sitting around a board meeting and say, you know, it's over 1,000 acres, it's right in close to Spokane, it's right along the Little Spokane River. It was just like, well, of course, even though we knew it was going to be a big lift. Let's get it done, and let's be the partner that comes to the table, which is what we've done, is to borrow money in order to make it happen, so that we had the ability to be nimble enough to make sure it was preserved at a point when the family was ready.
INLC was a driving force behind this. There is no doubt about that, and without them, I don't think we'd be standing here today having this conversation. With urban growth and population growth, not only in Spokane, but across the world, projects like this one are tremendously important for our future generations to have access to the beauty and the wonder of nature that exists where we live here in the Pacific Northwest.
Glen Tana hit its heyday in 1900 to maybe the Depression. My name is Tanis Witherspoon. Back in the late 1800s, my great-grandfather Thomas Griffith married Charlotte Brown. When she gave him a daughter, he bought the first 80 acres. And then over the next couple of years, he ended up buying up to 2,600 acres. After he passed away, everything fell apart, basically. Farm at Ford was sold, the land at St. George's was sold, the fish hatchery was eventually sold to the state. So when I was born and would come out here, it would be my great-grandmother, Miss Charlotte, my grandmother, Big Tanis, and my mother, Charlotte. And that's what kept this place going, so those three women. Lots of pressure always on this place. Trespassers, trying to figure out ways to pay the taxes. So it was constant pressure, but they did it. When Big Tanis passed away, my mother's trust document ended up saving this place later, because she set it up so that all people in my generation had to agree before we sold any little piece of it. And that's what saved this place again. It was all plotted out. My little brother Peter and I did not agree. The trust was upheld. Because of that trust, they were not able to do that. So yes, you're right, this is the last piece of property of this size, other than farmland, probably close to a city in Washington. You now see houses. You didn't see them. They're right up to our fence there. And this is the last piece that people are then going to be able to see what it looked like, I think.
We only work with willing sellers, and in this case we were able to bring a solution that made the entire family willing. We brought full value to the family, to the sellers, when we purchased this land, and that satisfied the segment of the family that were hoping for the financial return to develop the land, as well as satisfying the side of the family that wanted to see a conservation outcome. Because of the connectivity that this project provides between Waikiki Springs Nature Preserve and all the rest, the remaining 12,000 acres of Riverside State Park, this was such a precious conservation opportunity that we felt like it was a far better outcome to see the land permanently protected than developed with homes.
Spokane itself was number 5 in inbound migration in the country over the pandemic. And so we felt this incredible pressure on our public lands. We also have an obligation with our relationship with tribes here, specifically the Spokane Tribe of Indians, to look at what our recreational impacts are with state parks and make sure that we're not putting too much on any single resource, because then we're doing damage. We want to keep these lands as healthy as possible. So another 1,000 acres to put recreators on, I mean, that's significant. That is a large chunk of land. Many of our parks are tiny footprints. It's a little mind-blowing, and it's pretty magnificent.
We're all aware of the development pressures that are happening in Spokane, and to think this could have stayed in private hands, or it could be managed in a way that there's public access, and also meeting some of the other goals like the tribe's goals of salmon restoration.
The mission of Spokane Tribal Fisheries and the mission of the Inland Northwest Land Conservancy is really synergistic. This is really a pivotal moment, not only for Spokane, but for the state of Washington and the Northwest as a whole.
On the Glen Tana property, I believe it's more significant to know that we're reintroducing salmon in this area because it is the traditional homelands of the Spokane tribal people. When we're able to sing our songs, in the open, we're singing to our ancestors, to the spirits, to the land. We're offering it as a real prayer to the universe, and we always remember our ancestors in everything we do and the struggles that they went through. So when we sing these songs, it's really the heartbeat of our people, and it's the prayers for everything to be all good. That stretch of water, knowing that this is going to be a future location for the Spokane tribe to be able to rear juvenile salmon, to be able to be there in that space and time, and being able to reflect back on the past and our ancestors. I also got to get in the water and release those salmon along with my children. It was just a very special moment, one that will be in my memory for all the rest of my life. And I'm so glad that I was able to give my children that memory as well. I always prepare my mind and my heart before every one of those special events to remember what my ancestors have endured and what my grandparents endured.
When you look at efforts to restore salmon in the Columbia River Basin, they've been going on for quite a while. For the Spokane tribe, we've been pushing for over 20 years to bring salmon back to our area. That's why this type of project is important. It can play such a historic role in these efforts that we're just excited about what's to come, both here and with future partnerships with INLC.
So the Little Spokane River has a lot of flow coming in from the Spokane Valley Raft and Prairie Aquifer, just upriver at the Waikiki Spring site. That water is clear, it's clean, and it's cold. That's critical for all of our salmonids, for bull trout, for rainbow trout, and all those fish species that should be hanging out in this river. It's amazing what you can find in these riparian zones. And again, 2 miles of river is several hundred acres of riparian habitat. It's fantastic. As a wetland biologist, I would love nothing better than to jump in my waders and what's in there now. Dragonflies are starting to hatch out. Mayflies are out there. The turtles are starting to go to bed. It's some of the most diverse habitat in eastern Washington. Realizing that we're 10 minutes from downtown Spokane, there's no train noise, there's no freeway noise. You can hear the birds. You can smell the wet grass. It's relaxing. A place like this is just too precious to let be developed. I'm glad it's permanently protected.
With all of the noise and the distractions in life right now, to come out here and just take a breath and to feel the breeze and the smell of the straw in the grass. There's something stilling and quieting about it.
Daily I take a hike to nature where there's nobody around, and to be able to connect not just with nature but with myself and be able to think and to have quiet. It quiets my soul. It's peace-giving. And If we don't have spaces like this, I think part of us dies. And once it's gone, it's gone.
I think it's up to every generation to look around and see what are those other special areas that are maybe under threat and that need to be preserved. And this is clearly one of them, and maybe the largest single contiguous piece of property close into an urban area in the state of Washington that is now available to be conserved forever.
I think the love of land is very important. I mean, to my family, it's important what it was and how it endured. I don't expect that to be important to other people. I don't know if it will be. I don't know if this house will always be here. So it's not that, it's the land, right? Yeah. That's the piece that's for me, it will always be here. It probably inspire other people to get out and about and do some outdoor stuff, which is what I think everybody needs to do.
I think we all know the importance of spaces like this to our lives. Spaces where you can only hear nature, creation. I can't preserve it by myself. My family can't, we can't preserve it by ourselves, but we can partner with the INLC and they can get it done. And we collectively can save a space like this.
The time that I've spent here is really grounding me in this work, and I love sharing it with my family, and I love coming out here alone and being contemplative in the space. And I look forward to others having that opportunity as well.